Okay.
Well, thanks for popping on Zoom with me today, Rex. I really appreciate you listening to my audiobook piece of work. Tell me what you thought. You kind of sent me some emails that I found in the middle of the night, but
Yeah, yeah, like I said in the note, honestly, I'd seen it through the group. I thought it looks interesting, and I honestly kind of took it as, like I said, the note. I thought it's probably a book for ladies. I don't call it a chick book, but I thought it was kind of like that. But but then I caught the one bit you sent out with about your trip on the freeway with a license plate.
yeah, I
And
remember
when I heard
posting
that, I said, I got to catch the rest of the book, because there's so much in the story, because I had no idea what it was about. I thought, honestly, like you said, it might be perceived as just a fight against cancer book, because I knew that part, but it was a lot deeper than that. And so then I got the audiobook. I said I got to listen to it, and as I started listening to it, it was like I just couldn't stop. I mean, I listened to it on the way to work, on the way home. In fact, I actually used my earpod things here, and when I went out for a run, that's what I listened to.
You listened to me on your run.
Yeah, I did, because I didn't want to leave it at that point. It was right in that. It was like every chapter was like really significant, and so yeah,
It means so much to me. It's so meaningful, especially because I think I worked on this book for so many years, and for so many years I didn't know what it was going to be about or who it was going to be for. And so when I hear from diverse people, I mean, you're a Christian man who I know you through a running training group. I think we met in Race Lab several years
yep,
ago, and I don't even know you well, but you happened to see it. We became friends on Facebook, and you happened to see me post that excerpt from my audiobook, and it caught your attention because you're a Christian, and you heard about how I found God on a freeway with a license plate, and then that it impacted you so much. Like,
it did. It not only impacted me, but my Thursday night Bible study. My church is an older church, and I was telling people, I said, "This is amazing," because I gave them the Cliff Note version of what I heard, and a couple people were like, "I got to get the book." So I'm hoping to have, now that I've listened to it, I'm going to see if they did.
oh, that's so great. I so appreciate your spreading the word. Um, because yeah, I think it's an impactful story about a girl who was a mess and
Well,
still
yeah,
is.
but it is. That's a truth. But as as I said in my note, I think that's the bigger piece I took out of it, Danielle, is as I read it, as I listened to it, it struck so many chords, because it is so easy for Christians and non-Christians to judge other people. Never do we condone sin.
Right.
That's the issue. And there's no condoning it. But the empathy of Christ, you use the example of the woman at the well. He knew about that. And we kind of gloss over, and we kind of categorize this. I actually shared this in my Bible study group. People categorize, because we see these sins, and we'll list them as like, oh, these are the worst things. And they are terrible.
Yeah, I haven't done any really bad sins. I mean, I've just done the little sins, and you think that that's not as.
Yeah, and we have this other list. It's like, oh, I can talk about other people. I can destroy their lives by talking about them. I can unforgive people. Because I can tell you that was one of the ones God in my life worked on. I can still tell you when my brothers took my toys and lost them, and I held that. They still should have not done it, but they did. And I had to forget. I mean, I just really wasn't. And like 6 months before something happened, that's all I could read. Everything was about unforgiveness and forgiving. And then our son got hit on a motorcycle. And I remember Cherry being at the hospital with him. And she came back the next night, and I'd gone out in the morning, and I ran, because it was about an eighth of a mile from our house, and I ran by it, and there's all this blood on the ground. And God said, "What are you gonna do?" And I said, "Lord, I got to forgive her." It was like that. All the anger and all the anxiety was gone. So I learned. Not perfect at it, but there's a lot of other things like you kind of talked about in your book. we don't just fall into our sins. If we have anger issues, we don't fall into that. We've prepared ourselves for it by our thinking.
Starts in your heart.
Yeah. And your candor about that was, anybody that sits there and says, well, I never did. Well, you're lying, because as you quoted the Lord, you did it in your heart. You've done it. May not have come out, but it's there. You've committed your adulteries. You've committed your murders. And it's a wake-up call, like I said, because it's easy for Christians to sit there and say, that's not mine. And that's true, but you have yours, and you can excuse it, temper and anger, that's something that God works on. And I always use this analogy, and you can relate to this from running. If you don't do it right, you're going to do another lap. Right.
Yeah.
And
He'll keep testing you. He'll keep testing you in different ways if you don't pass.
Well, he's always working. Actually, Terry and I, before her cancer took her, and it was kind of like the second time it'd come back. One of the discussions we had is that we realized that everything that happens in life is a test. If somebody mistreats you, it's a test to, are you going to forgive them? Right? It doesn't say that you're condoning what they did, but are you forgiving it? On the other side, when you do something, is a test. Are you going to go ask for forgiveness? Are you going to go seek out that person and say, I was wrong? It's very humbling. But I think that's how God works, to make us into his image, to change us, because when we think we're all that and everything else, we're not inclined to do that, and we're not going to grow, and we're not going to be a good witness.
Yeah, so true. It took me a long time to figure all that out, because I think, especially
Oh, you're young yet.
True, but especially, well, not that young, but
you're young.
It's all relative, right?
Yeah. I pegged it. You're the age of my son.
I'm 48.
John's 49.
No way, really? See, you seem, I mean, I knew you were a little older than me, but you seem very young too.
Well, John was 5 when Terry and I got married, but he's been mine since, as you know, with your husband.
So you're not actually old enough to have a 49-year-old son.
No, the youngest, that one's 42.
Okay.
So pretty close.
Pretty close.
I'll tell you where this book also spoke. As I mentioned in my note, I lost Terry just over a year ago in January. And I remember talking to my son-in-law's father, who was the pastor who officiated Terry's funeral. And it was the Saturday before her funeral, so it's like 8 days before. And as we're making the arrangements, I thought it was going to be like a 30-minute conversation. It ended up being like 3.5 hours.
Wow.
And we got done. He said, Rex, I got one thing for you. He goes, I really think it's the Holy Spirit. He goes, go slow, take it easy. And I told him, I said, I'll take that from you, Rod, because that's kind of been the struggle, because it was a month. And I said, you don't know where you're going. You don't know what God has planned for you. But what you want to do is, especially as a Christian, I don't want to make mistakes. And, candidly, you're very candid. I'll be very candid. The world is not the world I knew when I was 18 or 19 or 20 when I met Terry and we got married. Mm-hmm. Right? I'm in a different world, in a world I've never been in. And I have to be on guard mentally, emotionally, and physically. Because I told Rod, I said, the reason I take that is because I'm just mature enough to know that I'm going to be a target for the enemy. Temptations, opportunities, whatever you want to call it, will come. Not just physically, like that's not people, but in your mind. Mm-hmm. And your book was like, just a good reminder, because you're not perfect, and your mind goes places. You're like, how do I get there?
Right.
I can't get there. I got to step back. And so it was good. I thought, this is refreshing. And I took it like, Lord, you had me read the book. so I can have a heart for somebody. Because as I just said in my note, that's the biggest thing I think, as I've seen in my life, that God's worked over the last year, is just having honest compassion for people. I mean, not just like, oh, I'm sorry for you or something,
People
but
even who do despicable things that
or
are,
just anything.
yeah,
I have gotten a book about grieving that I've probably passed off to 12 people. Who, I mean, think about this: 12 people. That's one person a month
pretty amazing.
who God has brought in my life, who has lost a father, lost a spouse, you know, children. It's how God works.
Mhm.
So
And that's really amazing. And that's something I have to keep reminding myself of. When you publish a book, I worked for years to write this book, and then for another couple of years to edit it and polish it and publish it. And sometimes I get frustrated by how slow it is to get the word out to people. And then
yeah,
I think you just reminded me, you know what? If I've touched one person's life today, that's pretty awesome. God used me to touch one person's life. There might be somebody who is thinking all the things I was thinking back then in that book, and thinking of being unfaithful, or thinking that they couldn't be worthy because they had been unfaithful.
oh yeah. Well,
You know,
the thing about it is, again, it's our nature. Because the words you just used there, and I know where you're at. Somebody's thinking of being unfaithful, and as you said in your book, there's a point where you've done it all. You haven't gone this far, but you're already there.
mhm.
Mentally, you're emotionally, you're already there. And what we forget is we're not just, we look at it and say spousal, but as soon as I've been there, I've been unfaithful to whom? To the
Mm.
Lord. Yeah, that's really good. Like I said, those are thoughts and deals that I have to confront and say, you got to keep your mind in a place and thinking and prayer, and keeping good people around you to encourage you.
And the important thing to remember is, whether you've been unfaithful or committed the sin, or whether you've only thought about it, or whether you've done it a million times, it is never too late. You're never too far gone in God's eyes. Like, it doesn't even matter what you've done. You can always turn around and go back home. And that's,
That's absolutely. His mercy endures forever. He is abundant in loving kindness. I had a discussion with somebody Sunday, and I was trying to explain to them the difference between mercy and grace. Mercy is I don't get what I deserve. Grace is I'm getting something I don't deserve, and God is always full of both of them.
yeah.
And like you say, I think we get out of this is when we give of ourselves and we're candid. We actually allow other people. We help other people to confront themselves in the way that God wants them to. He doesn't condemn the woman at the well. He doesn't condemn the woman in adultery, right? He did condemn the ones who said they were all okay.
Hmm. Interesting. Yeah. It's a little bit opposite of how we as humans feel like it should be.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, this is a deeper discussion than I thought. I really just wanted to pop on here. I just think it touched me a lot that you took the time to listen to my audiobook and then write that review and that email to me. And I wanted people to hear your voice, because you're not the typical, they tell you to, when you write a book, to think about who your audience will be. And I had a lot of trouble with that, because it's not everyone, but you're supposed to speak to a specific person, and then eventually maybe it'll also speak to other people. But if I was going to try to describe an avatar of the reader of this book, it wouldn't really be uh
A 64-year-old widow, or
I wasn't going to guess your age, but it wouldn't be a
oh, it's
64.
right there on Facebook, so don't worry.
Yeah. It would have been probably female, probably my age or a little younger or a little older, maybe Christian, maybe not, maybe grappling with their faith, someone maybe struggling with their marriage. So yeah, someone who was happily married, who lost their spouse, who's a man, who's older, and already, a pretty strong Christian and very faithful and all of that. it's kind of cool that I could touch your life. Like
Oh
that.
yeah, because I, there's nothing in your book that, if we're all honest, we haven't been down that road. I said in a letter, take out this particular sin and put in whatever your sin is. And we've all, and it's in Ezekiel. He says, when I confronted my sin, I struck my thigh. It's just hit me that how many times do we do that to ourselves? Like, why did I do that again? And that's the picture. And as you read, it's like, oh, and I think for your audience, there's another audience you may not even. I hope God can use it. Is those who cannot find forgiveness in themselves for someone who has hurt them at whatever level, okay? Because they're only hurting themselves, and God doesn't want that either, right? He knows that you've done this and you're hurt. They've done this and you're hurt. He knows that. But he knows that if you don't, this person who's been hurt, injured by whatever, isn't forgiving, the other person can go on. The other person will never go on. And that's I think that was if I came down to, it's not the details that you confronted in your own life and by yourself. It was the process of seeing that for every time I stepped forward and went back and stepped forward and went back, that Christ was always there. And eventually he did what he said he was going to do, which was he's going to win and bring you to a point where you can say, as Paul did, I forget the things that are behind. I press on to the upward, high calling of Christ. And I got to do that in my life every day, because every day could have been a better day yesterday.
Yeah.
And it's not just in how I, what is the word I use? Exhibit it, manifest it, right?
Right.
Honestly, the longer you're in Christ, most of your sins aren't manifested. You've learned to walk conformed to the church, to the expectations of the world. But your heart you can be unforgiving, you can be hateful, you can be prejudiced, you can be angry, you can be prideful. And folks, that's right there with the 7 lists.
Yeah.
So.
Wow. Well, thank you for this, Rex. I really appreciate this.
You bet, Danielle. If I can do anything else, or if you have any questions on what I'm trying to say in the post or the email,
you've said it great, and I'll use your words, and I really appreciate you.
Okay.
Spread the word. Maybe we can get it in churches and stuff like that.
It's actually it's funny because that is an indictment on the church. I'll tell you why. My thought is, I can tell people I read your book or I listened to your book, right? And I know some people who are so, let me use the word pious to be polite, that they would be offended by the content.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
that just tells
me, like, well, I can't tell. Is your book appropriate for this or for that? And I'm like, well, no, it's not appropriate. I mean, if you really read the Bible, half of it isn't appropriate for church. it's all about this.
Yeah, I've not really heard a guy go through the Song of Solomon in from the pulpit. Mm-hmm. That's more for private Bible studies. From appropriate.
But even David's life, like.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
He's a man after God's own heart, and yet he.
Yeah. Well, the big picture there was. As you point out in your own book, we don't get away with sin. We don't trifle with God. From appropriateness, I think it's fully appropriate for adults, because anybody that says that, oh, I never use those words, okay, you're lying. Mm-hmm. I had a very godly wife, but she could get mad at me and she wouldn't. Well, she used.
I don't use very many bad words either.
No, I know, but I know that some people would be indignant that, like, especially if you're quoting somebody. That's what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
Terry would never, she'd always change, if somebody said something, she would never say that. She would change it around, whereas I'm not as gifted. And, Honestly, I think for maybe a younger crowd, there's some things that maybe a little strong for them, you know,
Oh yeah,
only because they're
for
still
kids.
young and I don't know if they would process it, especially young boys.
Yeah,
They would not process it properly.
yeah,
But I think it's a really good book. And I think if there's a women's Bible study, excellent, excellent book. If there's guys who are having issues in their lives with their relationship with their wife, from either side, it's appropriate because, maybe she's not who you thought she was, or you're so arrogant that you think you're all that. And you got thoughts about doing the same thing. You better read the book, because even though the Bible tells us, we don't really always believe it. Sometimes it's somebody saying, been there, done that, wrecked a train.
yeah. This is how it, how it panned out for me. I
Yeah.
mean, I guess it's different for everybody, but I had one woman whose husband had been unfaithful to her, and she's now since divorced and remarried. And she said it really it really helped her a lot reading my book, because it made her realize that she had taken all of his cheating on her so personally, as if it was about her, and she realized it had nothing to do with her. It had to do with him and his own stuff. And she said, so isn't that interesting that, like, from the opposite side of an issue, she took something from it. So
Yeah. Well, and that's when Jesus talks about the whole issue of divorce. He says, for the hardness of your heart. And he's not talking about the one who commits a sin. He's talking about the one sinned against, not able to forgive someone.
right.
And, that is an individual thing. That's between them and God. But I can tell you, if you don't forgive, you own that.
Yeah.
And so, and like you said in your book, there's a point where people think it's little, but you say you forgive yourself. And you're what you do, I think, okay, because I've been there. I've got to forgive myself often. Is you're really saying, you're acknowledging with God, I've sinned, and acknowledging that's not who I am, that's not who I want to be. Because if we think we're able to do it in our own self, God will let us fail, because our flesh is nothing, and it has to be spirit. That's what that which is of the spirit is spirit. That's what the flesh is death. And honestly, that's, I think, as I went through your book, I saw that would be, if I said that was a struggle Danielle was fronting with, was trying to obtain the spiritual through the flesh. Like, I'm going to stop this, I'm going to stop this. And it's not until we get to the end of ourselves, and God knows what it's going to take to get us to the end of ourselves. And that's why he's gracious. Like I think you kind of alluded to in your book, God could stop it, right? I don't want to get into details and all that, but there's a lot of times where God could have just.
I mean, you can get into details too. It's a
Well, no, I mean, as you're reading the book, I mean, your
not gonna
story
give it
with
away.
with
Yeah,
Brock. I mean,
yeah.
as it got to a point, at any point, God, you use the ring dropping off your finger.
Mhm.
That
So
was a
many
message. Well, it could have just as well been another thing. The fire alarm could have gone off, and everybody said, God could have intervened. And as I said in my note, my heart was crying for you, going, no, why? Yeah, because I've had life where God says, if you do this, this is what's going to happen. And I said, I know.
Yeah, and I think back that pink index card that woman wrote that verse on, Galatians. I really have it. I mean, it really exists. And I keep thinking, I need to look that woman up. I wonder if she has to be a real person, but I have never seen her before or since she gave me that card. And so weird.
I think it's James. Be careful, because you don't know when you've entertained angels unaware. And a lot of people poo-poo that. But I think your life is a testimony that God was there and working in it. And he too, from heaven, was yelling, no. And that's, I think, the hardest part for us is that.
And I heard him, but
that's it. We hear him and we get to the other side. We're like, oh God, why didn't I listen to you?
Yeah.
Why didn't I listen to you? And it's our nature, unfortunately. Yeah. But I think part of that is God doesn't want us to get
You just cut out. We had a good video and then now you're suddenly frozen. Am I frozen too? I don't know. I think I lost you.
Okay.
All right, I'm not sure what happened there, but
Maybe
you
we
were
hit the
in
limit
middle
on
of saying
recording.
something good too.
Huh?
You were in the middle of saying something good too. I don't know what happened.
I don't, yeah, I kind of got caught up in what was not there. Now I'm kind of spacing what I was saying. Again, Danielle, I was talking about how God was crying from heaven, don't, and then we hate on ourselves, but I think it's because, I mean, if
Sorry.
we cause our own, we have to be at the point where we realize our sin is whose fault? Ours.
Yeah.
And it's the one thing that should keep us grounded. And again, compassionate and forgiving.
Yeah.
And I think your book would be great for whole lots of people. And oftentimes when young couples go into marriage, I tell you a funny story that Terry and I, we were married 42 years.
Wow.
1979. And we met December 31st of 78. Went out our first time March 6th because I told my sister to ask her because that's not who I am. She's only, that was my date. And we got to know, and May 8th, we announced we're getting married. I was going off in the Marines to do training. So we set an August 4th wedding. And that way I'd be 21 when we got married by about a week. And we went to counseling. And it was funny because the pastor's counseling, premarital counseling was Ephesians, do not let the sun go down on your anger. That was all. That was pretty much the extent of it. I think your book would be very helpful for a lot of people who are going in, because how you got to where you got to. Okay, I don't know any of your husbands except for through the book.
I tried to keep a lot of his stuff out of there because really it wasn't about him. And
no, I get that.
He's not an
But-
angel, but
No, but if there's a point, is as I went through the book, and again, I don't want to judge because I don't know. It's like we all fail, and if that comes back because I'm guilty. I'm guilty myself, and I know how I fail, and I know how many times I failed Terry, and how I said things that hurt her that I had no intention of hurting her. I would, quote unquote, ignore her, being self-absorbed in whatever I was self-absorbed in. And realizing that any rift I take it as responsibility as a husband, any rift was caused because of what I was or wasn't doing. Now, granted, ladies can have their problems too.
absolutely.
But I have to look at marriage, and say, I'm responsible in this area.
Absolutely.
Because I am.
Yeah.
So I just kind of got that out of there.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for reading, for listening. Thank you for sharing your thoughts, and hopefully more people will find it and get something out of it. It means so much to me that my story, my messed up story, my piece of work life is, can be made into something beautiful that can actually make a difference in someone's life. So
Yeah, well, thanks for writing the book. And thanks for your offer. I'll like it said in the note, I'm the one guy, he has encouraged me to write it. He took what I wrote on Terry's anniversary and he kind of edited it. It was amazing. And so he's trying to get me to write some more of this stuff. So
all right.
working on that.
If you ever need an editor or
I'll pass it by you if that's okay.
I'm creating some offers of editing, book coaching, ghostwriting, because I think that so many people are like, how did you do that? How did you write a memoir while working full time with 3 kids and all the stuff that you do? And it wasn't easy, but it's something that I'm a writer. Like I was made to be a writer, but I think I can help other people to tell their stories because we all have stories that are meaningful.
Well, that's it. That's the key. I think that maybe where I'm a little bit more inclined to is that I'm telling my story. I'm not I'm not fictionist. I
Right.
don't write.
I'm not a great fictionist either. Maybe
Yeah.
someday. I
Yeah.
still aspire maybe to write a novel, but so far,
No, that's good. Well, your point of the years, that's what scares me because I'm not, I'm like started, get it done, started, get it done. So anything that says this got long written all over, I don't
doesn't
want to.
have to take quite as long as I took. And part of it is that I was going through it. I wrote the first draft as my ex-husband and I were going through that 3-year period where we were trying to stay married. So I was too much in it. And you sometimes need the perspective to write about a certain thing or period. So it's a little different than, but it doesn't always have to take that long. And it doesn't always have to be a book length project. I mean, you might write articles, you might,
Well, that's
there's
what this guy David was telling me to write articles, and he goes, but he on some things he said I had talked about some things with Terry. And he goes, that is a great title for a book. And I'm like, oh,
so if you ever do want to write a book, I can help you kind of weave it together, find themes and
yeah,
make it.
that's he actually talked about doing a what do you call those, like writing workshops, because
Uh-huh.
and in school I was like, yeah, I'll take another I'll take a trigonometry class, man. I'll do that. Don't give me writing classes.
Well, and that's what I aim to help people with. And it won't, like you said it in one of your emails. Um, my book reads much like I would tell this story to you if I was telling it to you. And obviously it's perfected and it's revised and it's edited. And I'm a writer. I was a journalism major my first time around going to college. But even for somebody who's not a writer, especially nowadays, I mean, you can write like you speak. You don't ever get speaker's block. You get, you can just speak the story, and then somebody like me or like a book coach or an editor can help weave it into a narrative that actually has an arc and has all the things that a book needs to have that you
Well,
notice when you're just reading a book.
no, it's good. It's like I said, it's encouraged me. Like, you know what? If I look at it the way as you just described it, as I was listening to it, and what I was hearing is like, it's like Danielle's sitting here in the truck driving. I'm driving. It's like she's sitting here just kind of telling me a life story, is like somebody who's, at the end of the book dealing with cancer, which again, to me, I had a second connection there, right?
Mhm.
Like I said, when you got to that chapter, that's when it was like, I'm driving, I can't be crying.
Aw,
Oh,
I'm
because
sorry
I've
I
pretty
made
much been able to, huh?
I said I'm sorry I made you cry.
Oh
Not
no,
really.
no, actually, I'm unashamed about that. I don't care. I pretty much, even when Terry was here and all, it was not infrequent. And I actually had nights where the prayers were just tears.
Hmm,
Um, it don't bother me.
that's beautiful.
I've been pretty much over the years, softened greatly. God has brought great people into my life, great men. I said in my note, guys he brought in my life 45 years ago who've been there for me. People that I met on a race, guy was running and his knees were sore. And I said, I'll walk with you. We're going to get done. And got to meet him. He's a Christian man. And one of the first guys I met with after Terry died.
Hmm, very cool.
Yeah. So anyhow,
Well, thank you very, very much
thanks.
for sharing your heart and your tears and your joys and all of that. Look forward to
Well,
seeing you out on the trail or something sometime soon.
yeah. I'm gonna I got a couple of races I'll do this year. It does keep me from sitting and looking at a blank wall, which isn't good at this point. So it keeps me busy. My daughter was,
Awesome.
yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, and if you need anything, or
Yeah.
you want to talk about it,
And I do
I,
help
I,
with Medicare too. So
huh?
you're going to be bombarded with things about Medicare too in the next year. So
Oh,
remember
I've been
me
getting
about
them.
that too, because that's the other thing I do besides being a
What
nurse.
you do? What?
I do Medicare consulting besides
Oh, actually, okay. I got to definitely. Here's the thing, though. Where I work at, the owner is still. He's a few years older than me,
mhm.
and so I'm still fully covered.
Perfect. Yeah. So when you're ready to retire,
When we'd go to Mayo, they're like, what's your Medicare? She doesn't have it. She's over 62. I said, I don't care. I'm fully insured.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
No.
they would, of course, Terry get mad because I would get argumentative and things, but it was like a year afterwards, they came and they said, oh, by the way, there's Medicare 1 or A or whatever. So the hospital's paid for by Medicare, not the insurance and stuff.
Right.
That's right. You did insurance, right?
Yeah. So if you ever need some help, I kind of do that on the side. Just help.
I will definitely. I will definitely,
turning
because
65 or retiring if they stay working longer. But
yeah, see, I think my retirement age is 66 age 8, which is basically this time in 2 years.
very cool. It's exciting.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know what I'll do, but we'll see. But I'll be out running around, and
I don't think you'll slow down at all.
oh, I've slowed down a lot. But I'm enjoying it. Danielle, thanks a lot. God bless. Take care of you and your family.
Thank you. Thank you for taking all this time. This was a lot longer than what I was hoping, just for a little 5-minute conversation. Here we are 45 minutes later.
Oh, well, I'm sorry if I took too much.
No, yeah.
I gotta tell you, the book meant a lot. I did a lot of praying off of the book. Just talking to God about what you're saying to me.
That's really incredible. You're such a strong person, and that's so.
It's just, what it is like, I guess it. The proverbial saying, watch out or you're going to fall. And so just to have somebody remind you of, how do you get from point A to B? It's up here.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, it's different. I told my pastor, it's a different world than when I was 18.
Mm-hmm.
On the other side.
No, especially with all the technology and social media and internet.
Oh, yeah. Kid you not, I've gotten, I don't do much on the Facebook, and I post once in the blue moon. I'll read things. I watch. Honestly, Facebook is for, my daughter got me on. It was for family who lives back in New York, and then it was Race Lab.
Race Lab, yep.
That's what I did, and then I'm talking, and my dad and I are out looking for furniture because there's a unplanned remodel. And I'm talking, I think I like a blue couch. I'm starting getting all these ads for blue couches.
Isn't that it's a little bit scary. You're absolutely right.
Well, what's scary is the other things that come up on my internet, because obviously they've heard me talking about Terry dying, being single, things like that. And all of a sudden I'm like, no, I don't want to see this. I don't want to see it, because I can't, I just, no.
You can't unsee it.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
Yeah.
And it is hard. So try to stay off of it.
All right. Well,
I'll let you go.
Glad I can bring you something of value.
It was amazing. It was amazing.
Thank you. Have fun at the Phoenix Open.
Yep, I got another couple days there.
All right, we might be there Sunday, my husband and I.
Have fun with it.
All right.
I avoid Sunday. I'm busy Sunday. I'll be
Super Bowl.
No, not this year, but just generally, it's not somewhere I get to on Sunday.
Yeah, so, I don't know. We're not sure if we're gonna go or not.
It's a good thing if you're going on Saturday to Peoria, you don't do it on Sunday.
Yeah.
So, all right. Take care. God bless.
Bye.
Bye.